welcome back to the Nerdy South, where each week we give our initial reaction, an episode review, and discuss what's next for the Disney Plus series Loki. Now, this is a little bit of a special episode, but let's get down and nerdy and talk about the new trailer from Marvel Studios, the Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk a little bit about some Loki information. We've got a lot of new stuff going on out there with, we're going to do a little bit of a trailer review. We're about halfway through the season, so we want to pick back through the trailer of the Loki series and kind of pick out any Easter eggs we might see. And we also want to talk about, now that we've got Sylvie out and around, they're releasing a little bit of footage about her and maybe some Easter eggs in there. So let's get down and nerdy. Let's talk about it. First, we're going to get into the Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings.
But before we do that, I'm Joey. The guy up there that was just talking is Grayson. Jeremy's up here above me. As always, spoiler alert for anything that we might say, anything that might come true that we theorize. General spoiler alert. Of course, if you haven't watched the Disney series Loki yet, we're going to be talking about what's been happening in the show so far. So go back, start from episode 1, then come back and watch our reviews.
Absolutely. Well, so as we launch into Shang-Chi, I know nothing about Shang-Chi from the guy. He is an unfamiliar comic book entity to me. So I'm super excited about this movie coming out. Obviously, we had the Ten Rings referenced in Iron Man, and of course, then a little bit in Iron Man 3 with the Mandarin, the not so Mandarin, and so I'm really excited to see this new iteration and kind of just exploration of the Ten Rings, because I know nothing about it, and that is what excites me the most.
Same. I don't know anything about this guy, so I'm going to share my screen so we can get in here right now.
Throughout my life, the Ten Rings gave our family power. If you want them to be yours one day, you have to show me you are strong enough to carry them.
You are a product of all who came before you. The legacy of your family. You are your mother. And whether you like it or not, you are also your father.
I told my men they wouldn't be able to kill you if they tried. Glad I was right.
You're just a criminal who murders people.
Be careful how you speak to me, boy.
I thought I could change my name, start a new life. But I could never escape his shadow.
My son, you can't run from your past.
Is this what you wanted?
You got this.
Thank you.
Did they just bring out Abomination?
I have to wait. I want to see one thing. Right. Okay, so
And
you know
is
what it
that,
kind of looks like?
is that Wong?
Abomination. That's what I was going to say. It looks like Wong fighting Abomination. I was like, huh?
Well, it
So,
definitely is a wizard.
It's
or
definitely,
warlock.
yeah.
It's
a wizard,
definitely
yeah.
he's got the Doctor Strange shield out there, and that
Doing
looks
the 2-finger like whole
Yeah.
thing with this. Like,
He's definitely a mystic arts. That's for sure.
a lot like Abomination from
I think that is
the
Abomination.
Incredible Hulk film.
Yeah.
man, this might be the first time we're getting a tease back to the actual film. Like,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
It's the only character that even remotely was involved with the MCU from that kind of Black Sheep film. is Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah.
He's the only one. And
Yes.
so to have a callback, if this is Abomination, now I've watched this a couple times, and he's got some flippers on the side of his face. This guy looks like he's more maybe this is a tie-in to Namor. Who knows? Maybe he's Atlantean. I don't know if that could be. But from all appearances right here, it looks like Abomination, which would be an awesome tie back in to a forgotten MCU film.
I agree. All right, I'm going to stop the share. What are you guys' initial thoughts of that trailer, knowing that we know nothing about this character so far?
I'll go ahead and say, I when I first heard about this movie, Jeremy knows this, I was not too thrilled. Usually when Marvel announces properties that are like lesser known, I get kind of like, all right, well, maybe it'll be good. I was kind of that way with Doctor Strange. Maybe it'll be good. I was kind of that way even about like Iron Man. I was like, when they first came out, I was like, oh, cool, Iron Man, he's all right. And but they've always changed my mind. And this is an instance where like the first trailer was really good and had a lot of the same elements, a lot of the same scenes and clips. But for whatever reason, this trailer, it's gotten me excited about it. And it wasn't just seeing Abomination at the end, even though that's a really cool tie-in. And I'm sitting here wondering, like, what is this like tournament that they're in, that they're fighting in, and like, why is there a mystic arts wizard in this tournament type in this arena? But for whatever reason, I feel like I understand the story a little better. Like I think I understand maybe more about what we're going to be seeing. I still am not exactly sure if all of it is going to take place in the same time period, or because there are a lot of scenes that look like they're older. Of course, they flash back to his childhood, but what I thought was an older like time period in one of the scenes, we end up seeing Shang-Chi being in that scene. So I'm thinking like, all right, so I don't really know what's going to happen with this, and I think but it's very exciting. There's got a lot of fun, a lot of great action. And that's something that Marvel doesn't really. It has a lot of good action, but and I'm not always the biggest martial arts fan, but this looks like a lot of fun Marvel action plus a fun martial arts action as well.
It seems like.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Okay, I was gonna say it seems like just like they're going under the water, the big dragon under there, like, dude, it just seems like super steeped in like Asian culture, which is super fun. I'm excited about it. Know nothing about the character. The trailer's got me pretty interested, pretty excited already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and Marvel definitely has a track record for taking heroes and comics that were out of the mainstream, and that were not super popular, like Spider-Man and Wolverine and X-Men, and making them household names. And so I'm really excited about this because I'm a huge martial arts fighting movie fan. I was pumped when the new Mortal Kombat came out on HBO Max. Joey and I disagree. He says it was cheesy. I thought it was exactly what I wanted it to be, minus the tournament, which was a little bit disappointing. But I think that this could be like a beautiful marriage between like an MCU Mortal Kombat-ish just fighting movie, which is really exciting. And I'm excited to see kind of how it ties into the bigger narrative of the MCU. Because if there's one thing that all of us have learned is they don't do anything, nothing is siloed off. At some point, everything touches everything else. Even if it's through, 5 degrees of separation, it's still going to touch back to the MCU.
Except for maybe Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Guardians 2. Well, the ego was, referenced in the 2 episodes ago on Loki when she said,
right,
so
that's fair.
I love how they tie everything together, and Shang-Chi being so different than anything else that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to seeing this and finally getting some payoff to the 10 ring storyline that has been toyed around with, since Iron Man 1.
Now I'm with you both. I don't know much about these characters. So the Mandarin is supposed to be the father character, right? Who has the 10 rings. That's who the Mandarin is actually supposed to be, not who we saw in Iron Man 3. Obviously, he was an actor. But it's so, and Shang-Chi is our main character, our younger guy. That's Shang-Chi,
yes.
right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. So I'm kind of falling into these trailers, like not absolutely knowing absolutely nothing about it. So, okay.
I love it.
So we saw Shang Chi also fights in this arena. What are we thinking this? I mean, obviously the biggest moment in this trailer was at the very end. They always save that last little nuggo for the end. And it's like, it just makes you go, what is going to so what do we think is happening here? I think it's like an arena tournament type thing. The kind
I
of
think
like
so.
the blue glass box.
I think so. I think it's a I don't know if it's a tournament set up by the Mandarin or if it's just a kind of a fight club that they run, where maybe he's trying to. And I think honestly, the scene we saw probably happens early in the movie. I don't think it happens necessarily later in the movie. I think it's while he's still trying to, change his name and prove himself and all that stuff. And so I think that the tournament is going to play into a portion of the movie. And I remember right when Shang-Chi kind of rumbling started talking about it, they did talk about it was going to be a Mortal Kombat style tournament movie where you're going to have, or that was one rumor that was out there, that there was going to be people from all the different, auxiliary characters from the different Marvel movies involved in it. There may be a Skrull. There may be all these other people that are involved in this tournament style fight. And man, if that is Abomination, that's cool, man. I definitely want to see that because he was a great character in a not so great movie, and I'd love to see a resurgence.
In that scene too that we just saw, like of course, we've seen like the rings on the Mandarin's like arms like the whole time, and kind of in that scene we saw, it almost looks like they're kind of like both pulling at the rings, like each of them have a set. Yeah. Makes me think like Thor vibes, like, do you have to prove yourself worthy of the rings? And then they start to come to you. And so maybe he is proving himself more worthy than the Mandarin in that scene, than his father. And he's pulling the rings from him. Which gives me like Harry Potter vibes, like the wands.
Right. Oh yeah.
That gets me pumped. So many later episodes to come about Harry Potter stuff.
So cool. I will say that the way that they're doing the rings, right? Not actual physical finger rings, but rings on the wrists, and the way that they create like the shock charges. When you saw that one scene and he like throws his fist down and they extend outward, and then oh my god, that's so freaking cool. The fighting scene, the arena scene kind of gave me like vibes from like the first episode of Mandalorian season 2, when Mando's walking into this fighting cage, this arena, and there's two Gamorreans fighting each other with giant axes. Those are the pig guards that guarded at Jabba's palace. And I loved that like Easter egg reference. I really hope that there's a little more like story given to why Abomination is there and why we're seeing that mystic arts wizard there. Only time will tell, but I really I'm so intrigued by that. How are they going to tie it around? Excited. Are they like pulling people from different like cultures or groups, and like that was, if it is Wong, he was chosen to fight for the wizards and Abomination was chosen to fight for the United States, or like what's happening here?
Yeah, how does that work?
Well, and there's no telling when this is actually set.
That's true.
Because if it's like other Marvel movies that are coming out, Black Widow, Eternals, neither of them are falling into the chronological timeline of now. They're both prequels, or something that happens. So Shang-Chi could be setting up. You could see nods to Shang-Chi in Black Widow. You could, we don't know because we have no idea when this is set, if it's current day, if it, and so that's really exciting to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
It was a good trailer. I'm excited. I'm excited to see more come out for it. Well,
I went through the Loki trailer the other day, and I took a few stills. I want to show you guys. Let me share my screen again.
As he pulls this up, what Grayson's referring to is that as Marvel released a clip that was kind of a mid-season trailer for the rest of the show, but it was talking specifically about Loki and Sylvie, and it had them talking through a lot of their characters and they're playing their roles. So that's kind of what we're about to look at here.
I'm gonna hook you guys up with an accurate screen size here in a moment. So this is kind of a roughness, but this is one still that I messed up. There you go. This is one still that I took. What's kind of interesting about this image here? Now this looks like, if we're looking in the top right corner here, Avengers Tower. Destroyed.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're seeing Loki appear in New York here in this moment at a very different looking New York.
Yeah.
So I mean, this looks like post Thanos New York. Some destruction has happened. So we obviously haven't seen this yet in the show.
This looks bigger than post Thanos. This looks like
this is post some serious destruction.
Destruction.
So is this an alternate universe we're seeing? I mean, he's kind of in his standard gray outfit. We've seen him in a lot of the season, last episode of last season there. So guys, hit me with any theories you got about this one. I when I saw it, I saw that tower. I was like, oh, I'm getting a snap of that real quick. It's not the most beautiful snap, but
I mean, off the bat, I wonder if it's years after Loki was successful during the Battle of New York and the Avengers lost.
Yeah.
You know,
perhaps.
like, is there a timeline or that? And I told you guys this over text, but I have some theories around like what's happening in Loki and what we're learning about these branch timelines and stuff that we can discuss towards the end. But yeah, this looks like, I think that this is possibly a case where Loki is ruling right now. Like he's kind of ruling Earth right now, and this is the aftermath years later of what Loki's reign would have looked like had he been successful.
Now,
The first time, and not taken away with the Tesseract, like where we see him.
Yes.
Yeah.
What you said makes me think of this next photo because it kind of leads right into that.
All right.
So now this is potentially what it looks like Asgard here, and we kind of have we only kind of see it from the distance, but it looks like Loki on the throne, kind of walking towards the camera here, and he does look like he's ruling. You know, maybe he's searching the galaxy and the multiverses for the one universe where he does reign as king of space, as Mobius said earlier in the first episode.
Jeremy, what theories do you have about it?
I mean, it definitely looks like he's ruling. I would lean towards Asgard. Obviously, this would happen if we're talking about the current timeline or the established timeline. This would happen before Ragnarok or in an alternate timeline somewhere. But it definitely looks like he's ruling Asgard. I'm trying to see who is sitting there, seeing if I can identify anybody who's kind of sitting in his royal council. But it definitely looks like he's established and accomplished what he wanted to do and rule as himself, because he was having to rule as Odin in Ragnarok. So to be able to rule as himself would be a big deal to him.
Yeah.
So the last picture I have from the original like season trailer was this one right here. So the only reason I really took this picture, I mean, I love the look. Obviously, we can see Loki is looking at something that's got him shook. But what I see in his hand appears to be the sword that Sylvie uses. But we don't see Sylvie. So from just this still alone, makes me worried for what's going on with Sylvie. Is he trying, is he having to now avenge? He's become an avenger to Sylvie. It definitely seems like my man is fighting for justice here with the sword in his hand, like a king of old. Like, it's very cool looking.
Yeah, it's a really shot. Cool. I remember this shot from the trailer, and I really love it. I think it's got the same very similar tint to what we saw on the planet that they're on, Lamentis.
Yes.
So maybe this is post the ship blowing up, and or I'm not really sure, but yeah, that's definitely not one of his daggers. That's definitely the sword that she was using, and he's still in his same gray garb that he's been wearing.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes. Yeah, I had not seen what you guys are referencing, so I hadn't had a chance to watch it yet. So,
well, I have that for you as well. Let me share you that, and we'll just watch that really quick together. Let me resize and we can all watch it together.
This was something I could never have seen coming.
It was really helpful to listen to Tom talking about the mischief, because she's another version of Loki. But it was important to make sure she was unique.
Because she's Sylvie, she's not Loki.
What exactly makes a Loki a Loki?
Independence, authority, style.
Awful throw.
Loki comes face to face with Sylvie and wants to know more. A few questions.
You're in my way. The audience will be intrigued by Sylvie's arc and the backstory.
It really just sets the groundwork for this character.
The universe wants to break free, so it manifests chaos, like me.
Sylvie is going to leap into the MCU with extraordinary energy.
People are going to love it.
Expect the unexpected.
So a few things that I have been, after watching this trailer and listening to them talk. First of all, we keep getting conflicting theories of who Sylvie is. Is she Loki or is she Sylvie? Because one person literally just said, the character herself, the actor herself said Sylvie is Loki. And then somebody else said she's not Loki, she's Sylvie. And now, so who is this character? Not only that, but we saw some clips that we haven't seen yet in the show. And just fans FYI, they released this maybe a couple days, maybe a day or two after the episode aired. So obviously this is a little featurette of the actors talking about the Loki Sylvie dynamic and relationship. But seeing her, what we're assuming is to be her as a young girl being brought in through one of the TVA portals, probably into the TVA. So she's already been there, possibly. She's already been to the TVA, which confirms some theories that we had in the last Nerdy South episode. And then go ahead, Jer.
I don't think she's Loki. I think she carries the same desire for chaos and mischief that Loki does. But there's been a couple of things that she's, her character has said, references to her mother. Other things that just don't match up with, the way that Loki's life has played out. And if we're to believe that each variant in their own timeline, exists within the same parameters, maybe just experiencing life a little bit different, but ultimately, the same, it would debunk the idea that she is Loki. And I stand by my prediction, my guess, that she's a Nexus level being from an alternate, from a multiverse, from another multiverse, or from another universe, and only has access to ours via everything that happened with WandaVision. Which,
makes a lot of sense, because even right there in that little featurette, we see her say a line which we haven't heard yet on the show, but she says, "The universe desires chaos, and that's why it's manifested me." So it's very much nodding to your theory of that's why she's here. The universe is manifested. The WandaVision stuff, this is all starting to tie together based on that little line there is very cool.
That, and also some visual and emotional cues as well that we got in the Loki episode that we just got re-referenced here in this trailer, was the way that she reacted when the timepiece got broken, when Loki was thrown off the train. She screamed and pushed air out, and then her fists went green. We've seen a Nexus being do that before. When Wanda screamed, the whole ground shook and blew gusts of wind around, and her fists turned red. So I would have to agree with that theory that she's a Nexus being that was manifested by chaos. I just don't know how. Which
it's chaos magic, man. It's that's Wanda's whole thing at the end of WandaVision. The witch, I always blank on her name. Agatha. She talked about how the Scarlet Witch is the embodiment of chaos magic, and the ability to create from nothing, create something out of nothing. And so maybe throughout Wanda's growth and just exponential growth of power, she is starting to create other Nexus level beings
Interesting.
that have similar capabilities that she does. Because clear, I mean, honestly, the way that Sylvie acts is very similar. Her powers are very similar to
very similar.
Wanda Maximoff, and so it is an interesting tie-in that I don't think a ton of people are making, but I definitely think that she's coming from another timeline. And
well, after our recording of last week's episode, I kind of went back and kind of went through the Loki episode again, just because I think after our conversation, I started realizing that maybe this episode is more important than I gave it credit for. I don't know, maybe not. But remember how a couple weeks last week I mentioned that like every episode featured a background actor that kind of resembled another character, and I said we hadn't seen one in this episode yet. There's one in the first scene as they come out of the Marvel Studios logo. The first scene, it has Sylvie and the agent in her mind, in the agent's mind. They're at that bar drinking the cocktails, and in the background is a character with silver swooshy hair that kind of looks like the Quicksilver from the Fox X-Men series, who we all know as in the MCU as Ralph Bonner, right?
Yes.
From WandaVision, but it looks really, really close to him. So go back, take a look. I think that could be another nod to another character that's in the background of these. And
I'm excited to check that one out. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
But this whole thing got me thinking about something that I wanted to throw y'all's way before our next episode is the idea that the timekeepers, according to Miss Minutes, right? The timekeepers basically took all the multiverses and wound them together, right? Because the multiverses were at war and the timekeepers basically created a sacred timeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what if that's just the narrative?
Mm-hmm.
And what the TVA was created to do was to fix the creation of the multiverse. Like, what if what we're seeing is the creation of the multiverse, not just the wrangling of the multiverse, not just keeping the multiverse in line, but it's actually the creation of the multiverse. Because what are they doing? They're essentially there to get rid of branch timelines.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So why would there be variants? And why would the TVA be filled with variants whose minds were wiped? Why are there? I mean, the TVA is a massive place. I mean, you remember that one shot just of the elevator, and then also the shot of Mobius and Loki looking out onto the TVA. It's huge and it's endless almost.
Mm-hmm.
Which has to assume there's workers all throughout there. So what if what Sylvie did created the multiverse? And all those branches that we saw going out, not only in one segment, but back in time, new branches started going out, and forward in time, new branches started coming out. I think that it's possible that what we just saw in the episode before, when she let all the reset charges go, was the creation of the multiverse, not the theory that Miss Minutes gave us, which was the timekeepers are keeping the multiverse in line.
I like it. I like it.
That's my theory. That's what I want to run with for a little bit.
I dig it. It goes back to episode 1 when we did this, when we started the show. Joey, you said her powers, Sylvie's powers, seem a lot like Wanda Maximoff's. She's got the mind control, just the way she does stuff. And so I completely agree with both of you guys. I definitely love the theory of that this is actually, that's the narrative. This is the beginning of the multiverse. And we're kind of being lied to by the TVA because, what are they doing? So right. I love it. I think it's super cool. I mean, only time will tell. I'm excited to see where we go.
Definitely.
Well,
this was fun tonight. I love doing these side episodes that don't really have to do with an episode, but are kind of just like musings or ideas or trailers or, whatever we're thinking about at the time. So we're going to be doing these periodically in between, the Loki episodes. And as we kind of continue down the road, we begin branching out and doing other talking about other nerdy stuff, whether
Yeah.
it's all three of us together or sometimes it's going to be just one of us or two of us. But we encourage you guys, comment on the video. Tell us the stuff that you want us to dive into. Because even if we don't know it, we're three very intelligent guys. We can learn about it enough to begin to talk about it. And yeah, just explore this wide nerdy universe that we live in.
That's right. And hey, while you're there, point us in the direction of some cool things that maybe we haven't seen yet. If there's a trailer or some clips that you came across that are wonderful and we haven't talked about them or seen them, put a link to the comment in the comments. I will go ahead and tell you though, we don't want to see spoilers. We're just here to theorize and to talk about it. We won't look at spoilers. So we'll give spoilers on the show, but that's what this show's about. But we don't want to see spoilers for future shows or movies or anything else in any of the worlds or galaxies that we like to play in. We just like to hear the rumors in the news.
So. Absolutely. Well, don't forget to subscribe, tickle the bell, so you can get notified when we have new videos come on our channel. And we will see you guys next time with episode 4's review of Disney Plus's Loki. Y'all have a good night.